2 days after my mom passed away, I went to visit a couple of friends. And one of the friends asked me, what's it like after 7 years of going on this epic journey caring for your mom with Alzheimer's, dementia, and cancer? What's it like for most of that information, most of that knowledge to be of no value, to the next part of your life? And I couldn't answer that question. It's like 2 days after, and it's such a big question. But and the question didn't bother me. It was like, wow, that really is something to know. Is it of no value? Is an experience as big as that? Could that be of no value as you move forward in your life? And the experience when I was going through it, I believed it was an untellable story. And as a storyteller, realizing that something you're going through is untellable is really, really difficult. A lot of the motivation is in expressing your story and the patterns within your story. And I expressed, some of the beautiful moments that I had with my mom. And we had videos and I told some stories. But part of the experience was so profoundly disturbing and difficult, and failure of systems around me, family systems and organizational systems. So much of it was so difficult that I looked at the whole of the experience was totally overwhelming, and it felt like a really untellable story. And so his question connected with that. It's an untellable story, and is most of the experience is not valuable as you move forward. And I was 6 months later, having gone through the grief, the freedom of not thinking almost 24 hours a day or 20 hours a day of, where my mom is at and what she needs. And the freedom of that, but also the lack of meaning, the deep meaning that was connected to walking my mom through what could have been hell, and finding and creating a path that was mostly a beautiful place for us to walk through this very difficult experience. And the love that developed and continued to grow between us as we made this very difficult passage together. Was that gone too? I thought about that at the edge of the river, and what stopped me from stepping into these huge rapids was that there must be a way for that love not to leave the world. This time, at this time and place that we're in, that love is precious, and it should not be lost to the world. That it should become a power to be able to benefit and help others. And so I came back with that passion and desire that there is a way for this information to benefit others, and there is a way for this love not to be lost in the world. I spent 4 years in remote locations, reflecting on these stories and these experiences, really looking at what I could have done differently, and how there might have been different outcomes, and what was truly rich and life-affirming, and what really worked, and reflecting on those things. I spent a year and a half of this time creating, as a caregiver advocate, creating caregiver programs, and traveled and did some speaking around across Canada, and I heard so many stories at different trade shows and events, and people coming up to me afterwards to share their story, and just sometimes show me their tears. That caregivers are in a real crisis, and so many are in a real crisis, and so many are on a transformational journey. So many are disoriented, and so many are not well supported in this culture to care for a loved one, especially at home. And of course, we're seeing, in terms of long-term care, a crisis has been unfolding for years and years. And of course, in this pandemic, it's sort of broken open and revealed all the cracks and the flaws in long-term care. And of course, in the midst of all that difficulty and tragedy, there are really beautiful moments and beautiful things happening as a countercurrent to those difficult experiences. Before I became a caregiver, because we all have a life before, and we all have things that we've learned, and we have skills and things that we bring as before caregiving. And I worked with a lot of organizations, taking a look at the patterns and developing programs, soft skill programs, based on these immersive stories like Team Everest and Polar Leader, to bring healthier patterns into organizations so people could learn and grow and be on their journey as human beings within organizations. That was my purpose and objective. So I bring some of those skills to this care journey. This site and these stories are dedicated to supporting you as a caregiver and improving the elder care experience. Welcome to A Caregiver's Tale. I'm Mark Jenkins, the Wounded Caregiver.